La 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 la. Good morning, everybody. Good evening or good afternoon, wherever you may be. Just going to take a few seconds to see if anyone's going to join us today, of course. And it's Monday, June the 12th, 2017. If you'd like to call in, JJ McCoy has joined me. Louise Ray has joined me. The telephone number to call in, Emmett Hart the third, and Mike Torelli has joined. Josh Decker. Hi Josh, how are you, buddy? I'm glad you tuned in. Let's stay committed to this because Michael Christian, how are you, Michael? Good to see you. It's June the 12th, 2017, I should say. It's a bit flustered today, a lot of things going on. I was a little bit late getting on. Ricky Keep has joined me. No doubt he'll have something to say. Louise Ray wants to have some sort of strange sexual connotation with me. I don't know, these things happen. Cheers, Brian, says Dave Iozia. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on board nice and bright and early. 20 people on board already. We haven't even started yet. So would you mind if I just pour myself a drink? Because I am parched. I've just got out of a really hot bath. And anyone that knows me will know that I spend hours in a bath. And I am now very thirsty. So I will now quickly take 2 seconds out. Stay tuned. And I'll tell you what we'll do. While I do that, I will do this. I will press this button here, and I will then press that button, and then I will play this song. Stay tuned. I'll be right back with a drink in hand. Log in. Let me know you're there. See you in a second. Thank you. Lovely record. So there we are. Discussion time. Let's talk. I'm just going to pour myself a beautiful drink, which is a natural polar seltzer, cranberry and lime. 0 carbs, 0 calories, 0 nutrition. But it does taste good. Particularly when one mixes it with just a little splash of vodka. And there we are. So how are you, everybody? Tyler Garrettson joins, Kevin DeFinger, Greg Prudenti, my old buddy there, Jeffrey Endicott. Good to see you, Jeff. Tyler Garrettson, Brian, thank you. You rock. I rock. One of us rocks. I'm not sure which. The topics for today, chaps, I think we need to move a little bit away from the terrorism aspect of the modern world, and maybe let's talk about things such as why is there such a battle to allow marijuana as a mainstream drug for the public? Let's talk about prescription drugs. Let's compare marijuana with prescription drugs. Let's look at the benefits that can be reached with marijuana, maybe, and the negative aspects of some of the prescription drugs, which, if any of you have ever seen, Debbie Keppert, hi, if any of you have ever seen the adverts that are on television nowadays regarding them telling the public, you need to ask your doctor about, but they don't often say ask, they say you need to tell your doctor about, as if doctors are going to listen to laymen that come walking in and pretend they know more than them. It's quite a strange synopsis. You have to wonder how we've allowed pharmaceutical companies to become so powerful. One of certainly the biggest lobbyists in government are the pharmaceuticals. They have a lot of power, and to the detriment, I think, generally to the American public. So, just going to read you a couple of things here that I've picked up from the dreaded internet today. If it looks like water, it probably isn't. Across the world, more and more people are asking, why is marijuana banned? Why are people still sent to prison for using or selling it? Most of us assume because someone somewhere sat down with the scientific evidence and figured out that cannabis is more harmful than other drugs that we use all the time, like alcohol and cigarettes. Evidently, back in the day, the general feeling was that marijuana was the devil's drug and was much more dangerous than alcohol and cigarettes. We now know, of course, that that's utterly complete bollocks, because about 40,000 people a year die from very severe alcoholic-related illnesses. And you know how many people die from cigarettes? Wow, it's more than that. Do you know how many people die from marijuana? The numbers are shocking, and I'm just bamboozled by this. How many people die from marijuana? The number is 0, not 1. One big egg, none. And yet, marijuana has been illegal since 1930, I want to say 1938 is when it all turned wrong. It was legal in the States until the government decided that it wanted to pull the plug on it for some really unknown reason. Although there are several theories, one of which, of course, is the fact that DuPont had invented something called nylon, and whereas all ropes and clothing and many other items were actually made from hemp. And hemp, of course, is a derivative, or can be a major derivative from marijuana plants. So it's understandable how somebody would like this sort of thing off the market, to replace it with nylon, the wonderful new, cheaper alternative, and stronger and longer lasting. Yeah, well, there we are. So, Josh Decker says, personally, I'm a firm believer in every American having the right to legally engage in whatever behavior they would like, so long as it is not detrimental to the health and well-being of someone else. And this is why I support marijuana legislation. Well, I'm with you, Josh. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, I have to say that when I was young in England, marijuana was something that I did try. I tried it, and it freaked me out. I don't know why. I must have smoked a little bit too much with a little bit too much beer, maybe, when I was like 18 or 17, 18, I don't know. And it did it. It truly freaked me out, and I didn't do it again for 30 or 40 years. I have to say that with the advent of this movement now towards introducing it as a medicinal compound, I'm beginning to understand now that it's not what I thought it was. It is not the illegal, well, it is illegal, but it's not the illicit, nasty, poisonous seed that I've been told about. And so there we are. I've got Antoinette Gilligan joined. She's my favourite waitress on the beach. Joey Nichols says, you know it, brother. I'm chairman of a cancer charity with people who have no clue about the cost of cancer drugs. My good friend Jimmy Van Zandt passed last year basically because he missed his chemo pills. They cost $48,000 for a 60-day supply. It's unbelievable to me that people, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. I've heard many people tell me that there is a cure for cancer and that it's being withheld by pharmaceutical companies. If it's true, I could believe that, and if it's not true, I'd go with that too. It's just a very strange situation with cancer. It's a huge industry. I mean, when you're opening up universities and surgical hospitals and cancer wings and cancer hospitals and chemotherapy centers and all the rest of it, that's big money, and that's a huge, huge government residue of funds, because the government obviously is going to be funding a lot of this stuff along with public donations and whatever, because we have to kill cancer. We're going to run for cancer this year. We're going to swim for cancer. We're going to jog for cancer. We're going to do this for cancer. But it doesn't stop us getting cancer, does it? And that's the problem. So what is the answer? Mike Medeiros says, I take cannabis oil for COPD. I'm now off all of my meds, plus most of my arthritis pain is gone. That's wonderful, Mark, because good for you. That's marvelous. Unfortunately, my mother and father had serious lung damages, one through his history of work in the welding business, and my mother was a smoker for many, many years before she finally stopped. And she suffered horribly from COPD. She couldn't even walk from one side of her room to the other without stopping for a breath. It was painful to watch all that go down. And John David Lyon says, cancer is a huge business. They wouldn't give you a cure if they had it. And they probably already do have it. Well, the conspiracy theories abound. And of course, I'm one that likes to investigate these conspiracy theories. And I don't know. I would have thought that somebody would have leaked it, I would have thought. Although there are doctors that are having more success than others. There is a doctor in Texas called Dr. Baczynski, who appears, and I do say appears, to be having tremendous success, particularly with cancers such as tumors of the brain. He does seem to be having a much bigger success rate than the overall American medical system. And of course, they're trying their very, very best to shut him down too, and they've tried for years. And thus far, he has managed to beat them at their own game. I can't believe any company with a heart would value money over a person's life. Well, Jeffrey, you need to get it back out into the big wide world, because people will do anything for money. That's an absolute given. People are money hungry. It's their god. It's their thing, and they really think that money equals our happiness and wealth equals happiness. And I can tell you right now, in my theory, is slightly different. I believe that money is actually a magnifying glass. I think that if you're a nice person and you are lucky enough to have a large amount of money, I think it makes you a more benevolent person. I think a more understanding person. I do believe that it just magnifies your natural personality. Unfortunately, if you're an asshole and you become rich, you are just a magnified asshole. That's my theory. So there we are. Jim Edgar has joined me. Jimmy was on the crew when I was with Ted Nugent, singing for Ted Nugent. He was on the crew there doing monitors, I think, or something. Somehow he got me to be able to hear something, which is a feat in itself. He almost should have got the Congressional Medal for that. Dane Steed has joined. Gregory Dean has joined. Rick Keep. Big money controls everything. It does. It controls literally everything we do, touch, drink, eat. It's all linked to big money. Ronald Sobieski. Pharmaceutical companies are not in the habit or business of doing cures. There's no money in it. Well, to a certain extent, I think that's certainly true. There is much more money, I think, in treatments than in cures. If you treat somebody for 5 years and they don't get any better but don't get any worse, the treatment continues, therefore the profits continue. If you can cure somebody, not much money in that once you've done it, is there? Nope. Jim Edgar. My GF is an asshole. I see we're staying on topic with this one. Okay, Joey Nichols says, Jeffrey, we just paid $1,250 to an oncologist office to keep a man in treatment. They were dropping him from treatment. Well, Jeff, Joey, that's amazing. I mean, I don't quite understand the reasoning there as to why they would drop someone. Josh Decker says, I really appreciate you doing talks like this. Rather than relying on politicians for our information, I think it's critical that we all begin holding dialogues with each other. That is what will bring us together, not Clinton, not Trump, etc., etc. Somebody's saying a lot of people are texting me saying they can't type comments. Well, I don't know why that would be. I really don't. I'm looking at the box and I see... If you're having trouble making comments, feel free to call me. It's our area code 407-205-9971. Once again, 407-205-9971. You'll get through to me live right here. I'm on the phone, ready and willing to answer. Now, getting back on topic here with this, it seems that the battle is on between marijuana and the pharmaceutical companies. It seems like there is a major competition, and that competition can only have arisen because of money. So I want to go through a couple of things with you. I want to just try and, and it's not my place to do this. I'm not one doing this. I'm just trying to spread the word, and I'm not saying that everything that I'm saying is absolutely gospel, because I may have things wrong, but I'm willing to talk about it with you. So these are 5 prescription drugs that marijuana can totally replace in a way that's systematically going to be the same effect. And it's an amazing list. And one of the most important things that marijuana can replace safely is Vicodin. And as you know, we have a huge problem with Vicodin in this country. There's many people, too many people being described it by people that are by doctors that, shall we say, overprescribe it, or at least give it out. And the people that it's given to sell it under the claim of being in pain. It's very hard to measure pain, isn't it? I mean, if you go to the doctor, and if I went to the doctor tomorrow and said, Doctor, I've got this pain in my back and I just can't get rid of it. And what he'll do is he'll examine me, he'll lay me down, he'll put his hand in and I go, oh, God! He'll touch me and go, oh, God! You can't measure whether I'm telling the truth or not. And the likelihood is he'll prescribe me Vicodin or oxycodone or whatever or oxysnocone. I don't know what all the terminology is, but the chances are he's gonna prescribe me something. And I could be the biggest con artist in the world and go down the street and sell those tablets for a very good price, I'm sure, and move on like that. Another medicine that could be completely eradicated by marijuana is Xanax, which is an anti-anxiety medication. And I will tell you, I'll let you into a little secret, is that many years ago, my doctor, because of 100 different reasons, I was in the wrong band, I was in the wrong marriage, I was completely not doing terribly well. He prescribed me some Xanax, which I've got to tell you, was quite wonderful, but I didn't want to get dependent on it, and I hate taking tablets. Anyone that knows me will tell you I will not take many illegal drugs. I won't even take antibiotics unless I really desperately have to. And I carried those Xanax around with me for about 4 years, and they were powder, just powder. But it was just the fact I had them with me, I think, that many of the times that helped me through. So now you know a little bit more personal stuff about me. I have suffered from anxiety syndrome, and it's like anyone that's ever had an anxiety attack will tell you it's the worst feeling in the world. And I don't want to have any more of those. They're not nice. Anyway, the next one, another drug that can be completely replaced by marijuana, is one of college students' favorite drugs. And I say that only because I know a couple of college students that probably wouldn't have swatted up as hard as they could without this stuff. It's called Adderall, which is a stimulant. Marijuana can do the same job as Adderall, certain strains of marijuana. And I see Tammy Day Vosler has joined me. That's the wife of my doctor. So obviously I'm in some sort of problem, because I'm sure he and I will fall out over something regarding this, because we fall out anyway just because we fall out with each other. Another drug which can be safely replaced by certain strains of cannabis is Ambien. Now, anyone that takes Ambien should be very aware, and please read the label very, very properly, because it says in the paperwork on the box that this medicine can cause psychotic breaks, which I know, it just seems like a little sort of byproduct. But if you have a psychotic break, I think that's quite serious if you just want to go to sleep. So I don't quite understand that one, why Ambien is even still allowed. But, you know, if you can't sleep, my best recommendation is to maybe over-medicate yourself with alcohol, which of course is still less dangerous than marijuana. Another product that is completely replaceable by certain strains of marijuana is Zoloft, which is an antidepressant. And I know several people that should be on that, but aren't. It says here that many medical marijuana patients have found that cannabis serves as an effective treatment option for depression. While it might not be right for everyone, research has shown that smoking pot has less serious side effects than those that have been attributed to taking antidepressants. So, somebody's just tried to call me, I believe, and it didn't come through unless you hung in. Hold on, let's have a look. Nope. Oh, my phone ringer wasn't on. I'm terribly sorry, my phone ringer wasn't on. Call back and I'll answer you. Sorry about that, guys. Here we are. Hold on 1 second. Hello.
Mr. Howe?
Correct. Well spotted.
My name is Michael. I was just calling in reference to your show.
Yes.
Find a chance I could be on your show.
I'm sorry?
Hello?
Hello?
I said, find a chance I could be on your show, please.
You're on the show right now, buddy. You're live. We've been on the air for 23 minutes, and you are my first caller.
Oh, great. Excellent. I'm calling in regards to the marijuana topic of what you're discussing.
Yes.
It's not as bad as everyone thinks. There's more people that do smoke marijuana than you would even imagine in the United States that are kids for every single kind of person. I was growing at age 11 years old. My father gave me marijuana, not for medical reasons, of course. It was for myself. My father smoked marijuana my whole life. I actually feel that my children, they smoke marijuana. My child was 14 and 16. I give them marijuana if I need to. For safety reasons.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. So, are you telling me that your father was letting you partake in marijuana when you were how old?
Yes, sir. I was 11 years old for my first marijuana joint. And my children, at my first time is 14, I feel that it's definitely from the planet of the earth. Not everybody on state. I've a terminal illness within myself, and I've always chosen for marijuana. However, Your children need to learn that that is one of the drugs that is good for you. It's not dangerous and nobody gets hurt. So you have to realize that if your children are growing up and you don't subject them to different things, they're going to find out on their own. So I give my children marijuana, and I will give more children for a price on your show. Hello?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm a little bit. I don't quite understand. So you were brought up from the age of 11 by your parents smoking marijuana, and now, if I understand you correctly, although you have nothing wrong with you medically, I mean, we mentally, obviously, there's something wrong. But I think that, do you have an illness? Is there an illness that you suffer from?
Yes, but it's not a requirement for marijuana. The illness that I suffer from is not a pain illness of any shape or form. But my children, if you subject children to nothing in their lives, then they're going to find out on their own. Everyone is going to see that they make mistakes. Why not make the mistakes with your children so they don't get hurt in the long run?
So are you suggesting, for 1 second, that everybody should
allow the children to give them marijuana, even if they don't try it? Let them to try it if they want to try it. Even if they don't want to try it, make them try it this way. When they go to the schools are not going to sanction because here you tried marijuana. I give my children marijuana. One likes it, one doesn't. I have them smoke it once a month anyway.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in. You do alarm me a little bit, to be honest with you, because I can't believe anyone would be so.
If you let children do things, I subject them to no danger. Allow children to try different drugs. I did with my father, and it's more likely going to be better. It will be legal anyway.
Let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
How often are your children absent from school or late from school?
They're homeschooled. I'm homeschooling for my children. My 16-year-old.
Hold on a second.
16-year-old is no longer going to homeschool. They will get acquired GED.
You homeschool.
School nowadays is no longer what it used to be, and no, it should be full school.
Hold on a second. So you've been giving your children marijuana since they were how old?
Since they were the first tried of my age, 14 and 16.
14. So they've been smoking, they're regular pot smokers, and now they're homeschooled, or were homeschooled during this process.
Yes.
How are they doing? How are they doing with their exam? Has it affected their...
They gave exams. Gave exams. It was curriculum only. Once they finish curriculum, it is an automatic pass because there's no exams. There's only curriculum, overviews, and ditto sheets. Those are nothing more than governmental overlays. The government wants to legalize marijuana. If at some point they legalize illicit drugs, then America will be brave again. I feel that kids are our future. You don't let the children try things, they'll try them and make mistakes on their own. Drugs are not the problem. The person doing the drugs is the problem.
Okay, thank you. All right, that was strange. Apparently we have a parent who was brought up smoking pot from a young age. No, I'm not saying that's altogether a bad thing. Although in his case, it sounds like it might have been. Now, we've just gone through a whole bunch of drugs that could be eradicated by the usage of pot by patients with certain conditions. One of which, as I told you earlier, was Vitakin, which I think would be a huge plus in American society, probably in the world society. Excuse me 1 second, we have another call coming in.
Call from Josh Decker.
Hey, Josh Decker, welcome aboard. What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm just calling in response to the previous caller. I think that it's important to recognize that though marijuana itself has not shown to be harmful in adults, there are some credible studies out there that show that it has a negative impact on young adults' abilities to develop their brain properly, particularly with regards to the ability to consolidate information. So I don't think it's wise to just be giving young adults marijuana for the purpose. I don't understand what she was getting at exactly, but I would not advise she do that personally.
Well, I wasn't sure if that was a she or a he, to be honest with you, but are you sure, though, that marijuana would impair the input of knowledge into a brain? Because from my experience, when I was a kid, I suffered an awful lot from what is now known as attention deficit disorder, and it wasn't because I was really suffering from attention deficit. It was just I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in the teachings of some of these teachers that were teaching me things that I didn't believe in. I didn't believe in many things. The religious class for me was a complete waste of time, because we had a teacher called Frank Touche who would cane people every religious lesson and salivate while he was doing it and say that this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. Well, obviously he was wrong, because it did hurt quite a lot. And
yeah,
you know, I just don't know. I don't know what the benefits are, to be honest with you, of prescription drug. Now, having said that, there are many prescription drugs that are wonderful, and they've done. Doctors are incredible. I mean, the way we've progressed in medicine has been quite incredible. Apart from two areas, as far as I can see, I know that there are people that will disagree with you. I know one in particular in Ohio that's about to blow a fuse and probably suck down another double whiskey. But cancer is an area where I don't think we've particularly got into what we know what the treatments are, but I don't think we've really found out what the reasons are. And I think once we find out what the reasons are, we can zone in then much more on what the treatments could be. Maybe, I don't know. But there's a lot of drugs. The aspirin is the most wonderful drug. Let's not beat around the bush. Aspirin, we still don't know how aspirin works or what it does or the whole ins and outs of the metabolic structure of aspirin. We don't know, but it works. It works in a myriad of ways. It thins your blood. It stops pain.
Yeah, and I was mostly just commenting on the fact that I didn't think it was wise for her to be giving marijuana to young teenagers as young as 11, I think she said, and I might have been her or him or whoever that was. I just think that though it does have its positive benefits, obviously, and I'm fully supportive of marijuana legalization, by the way, but though it does have its positive benefits, I don't think that you should just be giving it to children as young as 11, because surely there are going to be some downsides to that practice.
Well done. Thanks for calling in. I have to say there are several children that I've known that would have benefited from an overdose of marijuana. Some kids I went to strangle, but you know, that's life. Okay, Michael Wunsch says, yes, Greg, but most want legal marijuana for recreational use. Well, that brings us into another small area where should pot be allowed for recreational use? And again, I don't know why it shouldn't be. Primarily because if you look at the stats and you look at all the numbers, and I mean all the numbers, there's no disparity here between the truth and what's right and what's wrong. I'm looking at a leaflet here that says, you won't believe this, that over 40,000 people a year die from alcohol. 40,000 people die from the effects, directly from the effects of alcohol. Cannabis has killed.
I'm just doing an interview, right? Because I haven't got 2 hours to spare to do a show.
No, you'll hear about drug wars, and you'll hear about things that happen in Mexico where you get a few people shot while doing a deal, and the Mexican cartels still would prefer to deal in marijuana. I think their ratio is they deal in mainly 80% of their dealings are with marijuana. Rick Keep says, I would have thought higher. Well, I would have done too, but that's those that are, listed as being killed by alcohol. Let me just read you something here because it's really quite interesting. Why is marijuana banned in the first place? It's an interesting subject. Most of us assume it's because someone somewhere sat down with the scientific evidence and figured out that cannabis is more harmful than other drugs like alcohol and cigarettes. Well, in 1929, a man called Harry Anslinger was put in charge of the Department of Prohibition in Washington. That's a wonderful old place there. Prohibition. It's just outside Washington. But alcohol prohibition had been a disaster. As we know, it didn't stop the usage of alcohol. It didn't stop the production of alcohol. It just made it underground and much more expensive and much more lucrative for the people that were operating it, including one of the Bush family. Gangsters had taken over whole neighborhoods. Alcohol was then controlled by the criminals. So alcohol prohibition finally ended, and Harry Anslinger got really scared. He found himself in charge of a huge government department, but nothing for it to do. And up until then, he said that cannabis was not a problem. It doesn't harm people, he explained, and there's no more absurd fallacy than the idea that it makes people violent. So, he then suddenly changed his mind when the department needed a new purpose, and he announced, I have changed my mind, and marijuana is a very dangerous drug. He explained to the public what would happen if you smoked cannabis. You'll fall into a delirious rage. You'll be gripped by dreams of an erotic character. Then you'll lose the power of connected thought.
Doing that.
And then you will finally reach the inevitable end point, which is insanity. So marijuana was then taken from being a harmless little druggy wuggy into the realms of having the ability to turn people insane. If that's true, I know several people that have been smoking it for too long. And they mainly work in the music business. Just joking. Well, Michael once says it's the same for cocaine. I don't see any real likeness there with cocaine and marijuana. I really don't see that, because cocaine, as far as I'm concerned, is a much more insidious drug and much less healthy than marijuana. Now, what I want to hear from you is, how many people smoke pot? And don't worry, I'm not linked to the feds, I'm not linked to anyone like that, and I'm sure they're not watching. I just want to know how many, because and do you take it for a health reason, or do you take it for recreational use only? Because I think the time is coming within the next 5 years where it will be certainly pretty much allowed. Let's say allowed. It may not be totally legal, but it will be allowed. It will be decriminalized to the point where you can carry maybe an ounce of it with you without any fear of being arrested. Shane McCulloch, cocaine was removed from Coca-Cola in 1929. Yes, round about the same time that marijuana was also made illegal. Okay, mind you, I've been to her house too, and I wouldn't even drink the water there. Marijuana is God's drug for the human race. Yes, I agree with that too. You argue with all these Christians, and they say God is perfect, God is great, God knows everything, and yet he made a big fupa by leaving marijuana plants on the planet. Was it a fupa, or was it meant to be? I don't know. If you believe in Christianity and that God doesn't make mistakes, then you have to understand that the usage of marijuana, the growth of marijuana plants, is a natural thing provided by your God. Is that true? Don't know. Michael once says it's not highly addictive. I smoked a lot for years and was able to suddenly stop. Try that with alcohol. No thanks. No. Although I can stop whenever I wish, because I stopped on New Year's Eve and didn't smoke again until March. So I know I don't have a drink problem. I'm just looking up here. A leading American doctor called Michael Ball wrote to Harry Anslinger. Puzzled, he explained he had used cannabis as a medical student and it had only made him sleepy. And anyone that has smoked cannabis will testify that, you know, if you're a criminal and you smoke a big joint, there ain't no crime going to happen. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll rob them tomorrow. Maybe cannabis does drive a small number of people crazy, but we need to find some scientific studies to find out. This is a smart doctor. Anslinger wrote back firmly, the marijuana evil can no longer be temporized with, and he would fund no independent science then or ever. So basically, doctors kept approaching him with evidence that he was wrong, and he began to snap, telling them they were treading on dangerous grounds and should watch their mouths. Today, most of the world is still living with the ban on cannabis that Harry Anslinger introduced. Please excuse me, we have a caller. Hello.
Howe Jones and Triple J on Howe.
How you doing, buddy? What's going on?
I'm good. Is this Brian?
It is indeed. You're live on Facebook Live.
Great, Brian. Well, my name's Howe Jones. A guy gave me your number, and wanted to see if we might be able to share our story with you, Brian.
Go ahead, buddy. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate it. My son is 11 years old. He's autistic, and we happen to have a Facebook guy named Chase Patterson call us or send me a request one day. Didn't know who the guy was. And he happened to be from Ohio and did a Welcome to Ohio video that went viral. And my little boy just had to come home with a book report from Ohio. So he did the book report on Ohio, and I didn't really think nothing of it. And I sent a picture of it to Chase. And Chase just happened to send him a little thank you video saying, hey, Josh, thanks, you rock. It just really touched his heart.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up getting about 5,000 views right off the bat.
Wow.
And my little boy just lit up. He's his confidence level just soared. And he said, Dad, you think we can make videos? And I said, sure, son. And we just started making videos and special needs videos.
Mm-hmm.
And we started having people reach out from around the country, just telling us, say, hey, your little boy is inspiring my child or my little girl or my little boy. And so we decided we need to give back. We started selling T-shirts to go on a little trip. And we are actually in Pennsylvania right now. We're from Georgia, but we're going around the country meeting these kids and giving them free T-shirts, just meeting them and treating them like rock stars. We're trying to make them feel a little good about themselves and, just try to give them what they gave my son.
Uh-huh.
So that's what we're doing, Brian.
That's a wonderful thing, man. And I really appreciate the fact you're doing that. Give my love to your son. And good luck with that. That's amazing, buddy. So, are you advocating?
I appreciate it.
Are you advocating the usage of marijuana with your son? I mean, do you think that would be an interesting way to go?
Sure.
So, presumably, right now, your son is smoking pot or ingesting it in some way, shape, or form, right?
No, he's not. Actually, it's not legal in Georgia. On some things, it is, and we're really looking forward to it, because we've heard a lot of good things. But now one of the families that we're going to, they live in Texas.
Uh-huh.
And he's got 3 sons with special needs that have seizures. I mean, it's terrible. And they're waiting for cannabis oil to come there so we can get them boys on it.
That's amazing. Well, good luck with that, buddy. I hope that cannabis is passed sooner rather than later, of course, because there's obviously no reason to not let it pass. I don't think the abuse level is going to be what it is with with Vicodin and and Xanax and pain pills. I think that's been grossly overprescribed and misused by a huge proportion of the American public, and not just Americans. Of course, it goes worldwide. But good luck with your kids. I hope you get yourselves on some marijuana oil, and I think you'll find that'll help them immensely. Thanks for calling, buddy.
Brian, thank you. You have a good day.
You got it, buddy. It's amazing, isn't it, that I saw firsthand what marijuana can do for Parkinson. I happened to be in a bar, and there was a guy there who visually was shaking while he was drinking, and a guy next to him said, I don't know what that is. The guy next to him said, "Man, are you okay?" No, it's a condition I've got. It's Parkinson. He said, "Oh man, have you ever tried smoking a little bit of pot?" And he said, No. He was very anti-pot and very, very anti, anything illegal. But the guy convinced him to partake in a little bit of, you get those vape pens with the marijuana oil in it. And he did take a hit. And it was amazing that about, I want to say 5-10 minutes later, he stopped shaking. And he was almost in tears. The guy said, I haven't been able to do this for 2 or 3 years. I haven't stopped shaking in years. And yet, in 10 minutes, I stopped shaking. And just to see that alone was enough to prove to me that there's some very wonderful benefits to be had from smoking pot. Unfortunately, I can't smoke it because I sing for a living, and I don't think it's beneficial for any singer to smoke, marijuana. Anyway, where was I with the story earlier? Anyway, we'll move on from that because it's amazing. The biggest amazement thing for me is that marijuana is currently regulated by the United States government as a Schedule 1 drug, which links it up with the same category as heroin and LSD. Now, I have heard of people. If I don't get the number come up, I'm not taking the call because I've had one little runabout with a terrorist this week, and I've had a couple of worrying incidents, so I'm not taking any live calls from a blocked number. If you want to block it, you won't get through. Unblock, and I'll talk to you. Does abuse equal addiction? We're talking about marijuana. It says here, probably not, since marijuana is not addictive like other Schedule 1 drugs. Rats, during rat testing, don't self-administer the compound in a lab. It's virtually impossible to fatally overdose on the drug, and the physiological effects of marijuana withdrawal, if they occur, are far milder than those experienced by chronic amphetamine, alcohol, nicotine, or opiate users. So all the way across the board, marijuana is not that bad for you. All right, let's check out this number and see what this is.
Call from
Melissa.
To accept, press 1. To send a...
Hello, Melissa. We have a call live from Melissa.
Hi, Brian. I'm calling in reference to how taking or smoking marijuana benefits anyone out there who has ADHD or, well, I'm a sufferer of ADD, ADHD, and PTSD. And the profession I had as in the veterinary field, I could not take ADHD medicine because it cramped my ability to do the job that I needed to do. I needed to be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
However, I was introduced to a ADH drug that wasn't supposed to have all the chemicals in it and stuff still did nothing for me. And it seems like if I took one medicine, I'd have a side effect that would interrupt my PTSD or vice versa. Nothing would work. And I just felt like going to the doctors was this big old circus hoax until I started working for a holistic veterinarian. And she is currently in the state of Indiana and is trying to introduce cannabis oil into the veterinary world to show its benefits, to hope that it will grasp more attention to the benefits that it does do for people. Because there's no medication that has ever helped me deal with the nightmares and the horrific things that I have experienced unless I have marijuana.
I must admit that I have heard of certain veterinarians that are certainly pro using cannabis for animal treatment.
Yes.
I've heard about it, and I've heard they're having tremendous results with things such as seizures. And I think if I had an animal, and as you know, most people know that I'm a huge animal lover, if one of my animals was suffering from seizures, I think the first thing I would try would be cannabis oil, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And she does, like when the monks come into town, they visit her. She studies Chinese holistic medicine. And the things that I learned working with this woman, I mean, she is actually considered autistic. She's such a genius. And she has actually ADHD herself. So we always had to keep her, in place and focused, but she did her job well. But she said it's not, when the kids these days that are young that want to smoke it in blunts and all these things that just go bad, that's when it starts becoming bad for you. And you don't get the pure effects for it, just like it stops working to prevent cancer cells when you put it in things like that.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. Totally. I think marijuana is so necessary as an alternative to the toxic drugs. Have you seen how you have these adverts? These pharmaceutical companies want to pump the airwaves, certainly all the national television stations, with adverts. They're telling and promoting a certain product. And if you just stay tuned for a couple of seconds, you then see the side effects of these wonderful products. And I'm not joking, the side effects of taking this bullshit is infinitely worse than the condition they're trying to prevent.
Absolutely. And, and one thing that I loved about her, so, people come in with the simple, my dog has allergies, seasonal allergies to grass, it scratches. They want a steroid shot because they want to see the results right away. Well, all that's doing is masking the problem and creating ulcers, so when this dog reaches 5-10 years of age, and then now you do the math in human years, that's doing the same to us, because that's where we learn our medicine from. It's creating all these problems inside your stomach, and it just, everything is just masked and Band-Aid to me when you go to the doctor, because they're so hung by the balls through the insurance companies and things like that, and they're taught a certain way in school, and that's how you have to do it. And I don't believe in the way that they go about, treating people with the Western medicine, the opiates and things like that.
Well,
it's terrible.
I do believe in Western medicine. I think certain parts of it are absolutely amazing and brilliant and just wonderful products.
There are some that are great. I do say that. Yes, there are some, but the way, like when the pharmaceutical companies would come in and say there are certain medications, like tramadol, for instance, we give to dogs, and it's a controlled substance in humans.
Yeah.
But for years, even when it was controlled, it's not controlled in the veterinarian clinic through the DEA. There have been, and I'm almost 40. I've been doing this since I was 19. You would not believe the kennel help or the people that you would get that didn't have to have degrees, the stuff that would come up missing.
I can see that.
The cases of people purposely burning their animals so they can get fentanyl patches.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
It's horrible what people will do in order to obtain those drugs. And I just think that, it's the opiates are overprescribed, for pain. I live in an area that's filled with Mennonites,
and I have a back issue, and they told me to stop eating pork. Just stop eating pork, and I learned a lot through the way that you eat and the things that you eat. I mean, it is what you are inside of you, and I think that God put marijuana in the ground as something that's grown to help us. But I think anything that's abused, whether it be good or bad, is bad,
You're right. Well, thanks for calling in, Don. You made some very good points. Thank you. She's right. If you smoke enough pot, you will eat huge amounts of pork. That's what I'm saying. Mike Tyson has said that I have tried to call 3 times. If you're calling, try again. You know the number? Do you know the number? Do I have the number? It is 407-205-9971. Hold on, please.
Call from
Tyson.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
This is Tyson. Michael Tyson. How are you, buddy?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm dreading this call because I know what you're like. So what's going on?
Oh my God! You know what I'm like. What does that mean?
It's all good. It's all good. What's your point, buddy? We're talking about marijuana tonight.
Yeah, I don't do it, but I love it.
Okay, thanks a lot, Michael. Michael's obviously a liar. I think he does do it. He's tried 3 times to join. I don't do it, but I enjoy it. That's weird to me. Hemp oil. Yes, hemp oil is another thing. Man the Night's eating the women. Mickey English has joined on board. Microwave nut barbecue pork is awesome. Here we go. The old subject matter's gone completely out of. Mike Tyson? Yes, it was Mike Tyson. Obviously, he's been hit too many times recently in his career. Maybe he needs some pot. I don't know. I think maybe I need some pot after this particular juncture. Now, by the way, I have to tell you that I've had a long discussion with many people today about whether I should continue doing this. And people say, well, you need to be promoting your music career and using this as a tool. No, I don't think so. I like this. I think it's cool. I think it shows that I can think for myself. It shows that I can think sometimes for others. You can look around. Here's my house. It's a beach house. You're welcome to come and visit if you can find the address, which you won't get in, of course, because I've got a little compound going on here with animals guarding me and guns. Let's have a look at what do people like.
Man, I think you've jumped the gun a little bit here. I agree to do an interview. I will not be available for doing any shows until I structure.
Must be a village missing an idiot. Okay, so let's talk about how prescription drugs are really easily replaced in certain areas, certain strains, by marijuana, and why did the prescription companies, the pharmaceutical companies, pay a fortune to try and stop marijuana being legalized. They were one of the prime reasons why pot has been fighting hard to come through as a miracle savior. The pharmaceutical companies have been funding by many millions and millions of dollars the anti-pot legalization movement, and that's a fact. So I don't think pharmaceutical companies are really looking at our best interests. Do you? Hold on.
Call from.
You are live. William, go ahead, buddy. How are you?
Hey, hey, just right off the top, I just want to say I appreciate the laughter the other day calling me a Looney Tune. I thought that was great, and I appreciate your candor. No offense, Dave, I just think it was great. But anyway, as I was calling, I think you changed the subject because I was turning my phone off to Facebook to, I believe it was a question regarding prescription drugs and some. Can you repeat the question for me?
Well, the question has been variated several times. There are several pharmaceutical drugs that could easily be replaced by the usage of marijuana had it been legalized.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's basically in the area that we're at.
Okay, well, I'll start off saying that I do feel that marijuana in general should have some legality to it, and it is very helpful, which unfortunately our pharmaceutical industry here in this country is completely against it because they're obviously losing billions of dollars if that were to take place nationwide.
Uh-huh.
I would like to add that it is very therapeutic. I have several friends that have sicknesses and illnesses. Lou Gehrig's disease. I have a friend that has muscular sclerosis, and they also ingest it, and it helps quite a bit. But there is a big misconception with a lot of people that that think by smoking it you're going to get rid of epilepsy and you're going to get rid of all these problems, which is not true. I mean, I smoke a little pot. I can't say I haven't. I'm 55 years old. I used to be an old stoner in the 70s.
Yeah.
But now I take it or leave it. I mean, if somebody has some really good stuff, of course I'll take a hit and I'll enjoy the euphoric, and enjoy myself. But I just don't pay as much attention to it anymore just because that's just my choice. Do I feel that it should be illegal? Absolutely not. It's as petty as it can be. You look at all the alcohol problems, and like you said with the prohibition, that obviously didn't work. And it's going to be, whether the government or Big Farm likes it or not, people are still going to do it. So why not legalize it to an extent, regulate it, make some money? I mean, they can make billions. Look at Colorado and California; they're making a lot of money. Now here, I live in Florida. I live about probably 2.5 hours north of you here in Lake County, in a little town called Mount Dora. And one of my good friends, I won't mention his name, but he's the one that wrote the actual legislation for the medicinal marijuana.
Okay.
That legislation here in Florida. He's an attorney in Orlando, and they did a lot of research. It wasn't like they just threw this together and said, let's, just legalize pot. There were so many different amendments and so many issues that they had to really look at to make it not only compliant to most people, but to make it feasible for everyone by legalizing it. And that's the reason why it took so long. Then obviously because the legislation point and the politicians all had to play their bullshit game and, no, we can't have this because of special interest groups, which are the pharmaceutical industries, obviously.
Yeah, so basically, I'm a little confused. So basically, you're saying that it should be allowed. Are you including recreational use, or are you limiting that to medicinal usage?
Well, personally, I mean, my opinion, that's a little bit of personal use. I don't feel it's a big deal. As long as you're not a 12-year-old kid and, you're hiding in your closet from your mom and dad and you got to get high and your grades are dropping, that's a problem. But for most adults, smoking a little pot, it's mundane. It's no different than going to your local bar and getting a shot of whatever and having a beer with your buddies. I don't see a problem with it. I just don't.
I agree with you.
We've been lied to over the years with, it being, it may have some addictive qualities to it, but I feel personally, unless you have that addictive personality, it's not going to bother you. I mean, last year, well, actually 2 years ago, my nephew, he died from heroin overdose. Really, it was one of those things, which is the big epidemic here in this country, is the opiate epidemic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rampant.
Yeah.
And he didn't smoke a whole lot of pot. Never really went down that road. So this whole propaganda that, they try to push saying that it's a gateway, maybe for some people, but I feel that the majority of the people that are going to smoke are just going to stick to the pot and not resort to doing other drugs. That's just my opinion. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know, but that is my opinion.
I agree, and thank you for calling, buddy. I really do appreciate that. He's right. He's totally 100% right. People, the people that don't really understand the drug are under the impression that marijuana is a gateway drug. Well, let me tell you something. And they also say that it stunts your ability to think and to function. I've got people that I know who have done marijuana since they were in their early teens, and they are doing in business incredibly well.
Mickey.
We got Mickey on the phone. What's going on, Mickey?
What do you say, Brian? How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, buddy. What's going on?
Hey, great conversation tonight. The opioids and the prescription drugs of America. What America doesn't know, or maybe does know a little bit about, is that our military protects the poppy fields over in the Middle East so that more opioid production is available to ready Americans.
Sadly, that is 100% correct. 100%.
And that's it is, and that's why the big farm is making the big bucks, is because we continue to protect and manufacture and protect the fields so that they can manufacture more opioids so that more Americans can become hooked on prescription drugs, because everybody wants a pill for everything. And especially when they came out with, and look at all your famous celebrities like Brett Favre and guys that got hooked on OxyContin and Vicodin and Percocets and all these different pain medications, to where these guys had to be treated in rehabs to get off of them because they're so addictive. Not only that, but now because prescription drugs are so expensive to buy one pill, people who can't afford to buy prescription drugs are now going to heroin.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, and the pharmaceutical
and that's what we're looking at.
Yeah,
that is the society. That is what's destroying it. You know, everyone's saying that heroin's an epidemic and opioids are an epidemic. Well, they are. They're very much an epidemic because the big pharmaceutical companies have priced out their patients because they've raised the prices of the drugs. They've made them better, stronger, and faster and readily available. But because your average American now can no longer afford to buy the high dollar prescriptions, they have, they're street shopping for a local heroin guy.
Well, if you can't afford healthcare, you can't afford to get yourself a prescription for pain pills. So you kind of screwed either which way. But getting back to the marijuana situation, Michael, do you think that marijuana is truly a gateway drug, or is anything that you start, like, for instance, I would rather say that beer would be considered a gateway to just about everything. If marijuana is a gateway drug, then beer has got to be a freeway drug.
Well, and it's funny you say it like that, but if you think of alcohol lowers your inhibitions, and it makes you make even poorer decisions than smoking any pot could ever do. And to talk about the guy who had made the comment about smoking pot is going to help stop seizures. It's not smoking pot that helps stop the seizures. What it is, it's the cannabinoids, the CBDs that are in the actual plant, where they take out the THC. So there is no high, but the cannabinoids counteract the seizures and to help balance out the brain so that person, there was a girl, she was a famous story. Her mom started giving her cannabinoids, and the girl used to have 300 seizures a week.
Wow.
And they got her down to like 3 a day, and it helped dramatically. And then they crucified this mother for giving her daughter these CBDs, but the medical companies are looking at this. Doctors are looking at it, and they're prescribing it. On some level. It just depends on the severity of the case.
Correct. Yeah. It's.
But pot's good. Pot's good. I don't use the stuff myself personally. Because I basically turned into a loaf of bread sitting on a couch. But some people are productive. It has a counter. Every metabolism is different, so it affects each person differently. If it's a gateway drug, I don't think it's a gateway drug. I think the gateway drug starts with alcohol because that's what lowers your inhibitions and allows you to make poor decisions. But again, in this world, in this life, in this lifetime, it's our choice. You have a choice to become a drug addict. You have a choice to become an alcoholic. Every time you pick up a beer or mass consume large amounts of beer or any drug. And the funny thing is that for drug addicts, having been a former drug addict and reformed drug addict, And not that I did heroin or any of that stuff. I was more into the powder goods that, rock stars get into. Not saying that you were ever like that, Brian.
Never.
But what I'm saying is that having been clean from all those years, I stopped on my own. You have a choice. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice to pick up or not pick up. So I don't feel bad for addicts because they get free methadone and all this other stuff because they declare addiction a disease. But you look at a cancer patient who did not choose to have cancer, who never smoked a cigarette in their life, and they don't get free medications. They don't get free chemo treatments. They don't get free things to ease their pain.
Correct. Thank you, Michael. That's a great view, great topic, and you've taken us into a new area, which I appreciate. Thank you very much. All right, so he's right. He's totally 100% right. I can't. And now somebody else has just written in. Dana Lee Lynn has just said, do you think if somebody is in jail for possession in a state where cannabis becomes legal, should get a reduced sentence or even parole? It's a good question, Dana. I would imagine that would be the case. Although, having said that, I know for a fact there are still people in prison that were jailed for possession 20 years ago for having a small amount, and they are still in prison because it was their third count of being arrested for having small amounts. And that three and you're out strike thing is really something that needs to be reviewed. I think if it's legal, you should not have to worry about it. If it's almost legal, but these guys, they were doing it when it was totally illegal and classified and classed as a heroin or a grade 1 drug that was going to change your soul and the rest of it. So I kind of agree that we need to reduce sentences and release these guys that have been in there for petty drug offenses. Now, I'm not talking about selling bucket loads of cocaine on the streets or heroin or ecstasy or whatever, but certainly marijuana has been shown to be a very, very mild substance. And particularly now that we've unencumbered ourselves from the restrictions of legal proceedings around America, I think that we're now beginning to learn that the medicinal values of marijuana is really quite incredible. And I'm sure there are people out there whose lives have been changed simply because they've been allowed to now take a drug which, let's face it, grows openly and freely. If it will grow anywhere in America, just about anywhere. I don't know that from experience, but I know people that do. All right. The number to call is 407-205-9971. Feel free to call. I'm not going to stay on too much longer. I've done an hour and 12 minutes. I think an hour should be just about wrapping it up, don't you think? Unless you've got something to hit me with that's going to be a real eye-opener. I will tell you that next week I'm only going to do one broadcast. I've actually done 3 this week, and they've been really cool, and I'm really getting to grips with how to do it. But at 8:30 I've got a program that I want to watch on my TV, which is back there. I'm going to watch something interesting. It's I'm not going to get into details, but it's good. It's a non-conspiracy thing too, which is quite rare for me. But starting next Monday, I'm going to be doing one show for an hour. Here's somebody calling in. Let's find out who this call is.
Anita Boyles.
To accept, press.
Anita Boyles, how are you, darling?
Hi.
Hi. What is your topic? What is it you want to talk about, darling?
I love the live feed that you're doing on the topic about the marijuana.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
I live in Washington, Indiana, and my point is I have an 18-year-old son.
Yep.
He was an A1 student. He graduated from high school. He excelled in sports, and yes, he's a pot smoker. He was pulled over with 4 other people
this past week, and simple fact, because one of them had a grinder and a road shop. All four of them, 18 and older, got arrested and went to jail for possession of paraphernalia. Now, my son, as I said, is an A-plus graduate student, excelled in sports. He does not, he smokes weed. He has never been in trouble. He's never been in trouble with the law. Statistics don't have people on marijuana that are going out and killing people, doing harsh, breaking laws. So, you know, I agree. I think marijuana should be legal.
You think it should be legal?
I think it should be legal, but I mean, I think it should be legalized. Look at the tax money that can be made out on it. It should be sold to, you know, if I don't agree with 11-year-old and 12-year-old smoking pot. I mean, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it, but I don't agree with it. If they want to legalize marijuana, then make it to where it's the same thing as buying a pack of cigarettes.
Well,
but I mean, I love what you're doing.
If only I knew what it was I was doing, I'd be much happier. But
I mean your live video.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you. I do.
I couldn't comment or anything on it, but like I said, you know, I smoked pot when I was in high school. I smoked pot for 4.5 years. I didn't have a problem stopping. I never got in trouble smoking it. And, you know, I mean, I really like your discussion on it.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks very much for calling in. It's a great thing to hear that your son. I don't know if you're going to get yourself a good attorney regarding your son. I would suggest you would, because they can't all have been in possession of a grinder.
Yes, we are. But like I said, I'm an avid follower, and I will continue to follow you.
Thank you very much, Don. I really do appreciate that, and we'll speak again soon. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Well, that's wild. I mean, you know, that's the thing. The police can pull you over for a little bit of pot or a grinder or whatever, you know, and everyone takes the rap. An attorney will make sure that doesn't happen. And if you have any need of an attorney in this area, let me know. I know one. I know two. No one. So, there are people still in prison for half a dozen hits of acid at a Grateful Dead show in the 80s. That may or may not be true. I don't know. There probably are people in prison for the most ridiculous things, because the laws were really quite strange back in the day. However, the lady just said that she doesn't approve of children using pot. Well, don't you think that's all to do with whether it's of medicinal value? Because I think if you have a child that's having seizures, as we heard earlier, then if pot can alleviate those seizures as well as a pharmaceutical drug which is cost effective, or in fact you've reached a point with your insurance where you just can't afford to keep going with it, I think pot should be allowed as an alternative situation, particularly if it's proven to work as well as that. Let's see. What do we got? We're winding down, aren't we? Don't worry about commercials, Michael Wanch. I won't be adding commercials to this. This is something I wanted to do for a while. But I will tell you this. I'm going to be doing it only on a Monday night. Sorry. Only on a Sunday night, because I think most people are available on a Sunday. And I want more people to get involved. I don't know why people are having trouble making comments on here. Apparently a couple of people have told me they can't get online here to make comments. It's something I will investigate. I'm unaware that should be a problem. But like I say, the woman earlier, if I had a child that was having seizures and I had no alternative because I couldn't afford the pharmaceutical costs, I would certainly apply that and give the child the chance of having another cure, which would be a marijuana. Let's see. Well, I think we're just about running out of topic here, guys. It's 29 people in the room, and I really do appreciate you coming on board. Tonight we've done 1 hour, 20 minutes, and that's pretty good. Dana Lynn again says marijuana is not a gateway drug. Caffeine is one of our first addictions in life. Well, I suppose that's certainly true to a certain event. So is tea, and as you know, Britain runs on tea and scones at 4 p.m. It's funny yet sad to watch all those drug commercials, says Mikey Burress. They're on TV and how they build them up, and then they end with the side effects. The side effects are scarier than the actual disease they're treating you for. Yeah, and that's the point. But the saddest point there, Michael, is that you are being told by the pharmaceutical company on your television in your lounge what to tell your doctor to do. And I don't understand that, because where I come from, doctors know a little bit more than I do. Although there's a couple that maybe don't, I don't know. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to get a hateful call in a minute. I know I'm going to get a really hateful call. But yeah, I think marijuana, Dana Lee says, marijuana is safer for anxiety and hypertension than benzodiazepines are. I agree. Anyone that has taken Xanax will tell you that if you certainly overprescribe yourself with Xanax in the way of taking them, you will end up with a bit of a problem, which is one of the reasons why when I was prescribed Xanax, I wouldn't take them. And I carried them around for literally a year or two, and when I did have an anxiety attack, I would look in the bottle and find it's just powder. It was just shake, rattled, and rolled into powder. However, marijuana, I've never been a big proponent of marijuana, and yet I have to say that in the last year, due to the legalization in certain areas of the country, if it's legal where I go, I will partake, because I do find it to be a relaxing drug. I find it to be very relaxing and very calming. And as I do suffer from anxiety on several occasions, I mean, what I do for a living is not the easiest thing in the world, of course, and nor is anybody's job. I'm not trying to say that my job is anywhere above what anybody else does, but I find my job stressful. And I would rather smoke a vapor pen with maybe marijuana oil in it than take a Xanax or an up, or whatever they call them, an upper or a down. I can't smoke marijuana per se as a joint, because that would, I would imagine, screw with my lungs, and I need my lungs, what's left of them, for singing. Right, this will be the last call today.
Hey, Brian, what's going on, man? It's Shane. I just wanted to say, number one, awesome broadcast tonight, man. Really awesome topic. But what I wanted to do, and I touched base with you earlier, and you mentioned it, if you want, man, to the person, whoever shares your live feed here for the replays the most, we'll go ahead and give them a pair of concert tickets to any concert of their choice. Okay? Actually, you know what, Brian? Let's do one better. Whoever is able to put every song title of your off of one of your albums, your choice, whoever's able to put every song title off of one of your albums in the comment section, we're going to go ahead and give them some concert tickets of their choice, courtesy of Ticketmaster. So whoever posts it up in the comments right now after you name the album, whichever person names every single song, and basically we're going to take care of them, man, just for the broadcast and the reasons of shares, man. We want to see people sharing the hell out of this thing.
All right. Well, this is a big surprise for me. So how are we going to contact these people? I guess I'll leave that to you, and you can track them down.
Yeah, I got it. I do it all the time with my show, and basically, make a long story short, the way that it's going to be monumentized is they'll put it in the comments. You name the album, Brian, whichever album you choose, whoever names, and they have to send it in one message. They don't type a song and then enter, type a song and enter. They literally have to name every song for that album and press enter and send it. And whoever sends it the proper format, the proper way, boom, they got a pair of concert tickets, courtesy of Ticketmaster, and of course Brian Howe. So you name the album, Brian, whichever one they want, brother. And that's you know, you might as well start spreading the love, brother. Start spreading the love on your page, man.
Well, that's amazing. Let me do this then. Let me just say that if you can give me the list of songs on my very first Bad Company album, which was called Fame and Fortune. If you can list all the songs in one listing, you will get, is it one ticket or two?
No, it's a pair. We always a pair or two pairs, but today it'll just be one pair. And then, of course, Andy, you'll talk offline, and we'll do a whole bunch of giveaways on your page as well. I know you got a ton of contacts too, bro.
Well, this is amazing. So here we are, folks. This is strange for me. This is a shock to me as much as it is to you. You give me the list of songs in the correct order for an album I made, my first album with Bad Company, called Fame and Fortune. If you can name them correctly, the first person, not everybody, the first person, you will get 2 free tickets for any concert of your choice, I guess anywhere.
Providing that is a Ticketmaster venue. Make sure that it's Ticketmaster venue. So you go to Ticketmaster.com, pick a concert, or if it's something that you've been waiting for. And the catch is you have to give a minimum of 3 weeks notice, just strictly that. But basically 3 weeks notice for the concert of your choice. Ticketmaster.com will provide you with the listing of concerts coming up in your area. And there you go, man. Name Brian's, every track off of Brian's first album ever made, and you got it. And you have to send it as one listing. Every track, one message in the comment section. Even if Brian's off air, it still counts if you get it right in the comment section. Boom. Brian, man, awesome show tonight, bro. That was cool as hell, man. Very good topic, man.
Thank you very much, Shane. I love you lots, and I'll speak to you very soon. Well, that's amazing, man. That's so. Did you get that? It's unbelievable. You get 2 free tickets to a Ticketmaster concert anywhere you wish. You have to get to the show yourself, of course, but you'll get 2 tickets. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's a Ticketmaster concert. You get 2 free tickets if you can list the songs in the correct order of the first Bad Company album I made with them in 1984. The album is called Fame and Fortune. Get busy. I'm going to get offline now. This is a nice ending. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Please share, and share. Let's make this a regular Sunday night occurrence. It will be happening next Sunday, 7 p.m. And the call-in number is 407-205-9971. Keep the faith. Be safe. Defend yourself at all costs. Thank you so much. I will see you soon.